Hello and welcome back to class. It is our last chapter of Be a Perfect Person in just 3 days, and today I'm reading in our library. So, those of you at home, just a reminder what our classroom library looks like. Here's Moosey, and then here's all the rest of our books. Okay, Chapter 6. Now, really quickly, it's always a good idea before you start a new chapter to think about what you read before. So I'm going back to the end of Chapter 5. And I'm remembering what happened. Hopefully you're thinking in your head, trying to remember what happened yesterday. And we know that Milo was trying to stay awake, doing nothing for 24 hours, not sleeping, not standing, not doing anything. And what did he end up doing? He fell asleep. So the very end of chapter 5, it says, Milo felt sick. He had not made it to perfection after all. He had only fallen asleep. He had failed. So let's see what chapter 6 brings us. Milo was shattered. All that work, and now he'd never be perfect. At first he thought he would start over with day 1 in the broccoli, but he decided it would be useless. And there was no sense trying to pretend he'd never fallen asleep. Dr. Silverfish would realize exactly what he was up to. Milo picked up the book. Dr. Silverfish looked at him with a knowing smile. Milo did not smile back. He just opened the book. Congratulations! You're perfect! What more is there to say? Unless by some strange chance you did not follow my instructions precisely, in which case, turn the page. Milo felt awful, but he turned the page anyway. Congratulations! You're not perfect! It's ridiculous to want to be perfect anyway, but then everybody's ridiculous sometimes, except perfect people. You know what perfect is? Perfect is not eating or drinking or talking or moving a muscle or making even the teeniest mistake. Perfect is never doing anything wrong, which means never doing anything at all. Perfect is boring. Suddenly, Milo remembered the auditorium full of perfect people. He brightened a little as he turned the page. So, you're not perfect. Wonderful. Have fun. Eat things that give you bad breath. Trip over your own shoelaces. Laugh. Let everybody else laugh with you. Perfect people never do any of those things. All they do is sit around and sip weak tea and think about how perfect they are. But they're not really 100% perfect anyway. You should see them when they get the hiccups. Milo smiled. He could just imagine a whole auditorium full of perfect hiccupers. Pooey, who needs them? You can drink pickle juice and imitate gorillas and do silly dances and sing stupid songs and wear funny hats and be as imperfect as you please and still be a good person. Good people are hard to find nowadays, and they're a lot more fun than perfect people any day of the week. Milo was feeling a lot better. He turned the page. Well, this is the last page. So in conclusion, I say to you, thanks for tuning in. That's all till next time. Be good. If you still want to be perfect, go back to page 1 and start over. You are obviously a slow learner. And now I must be going. One of my Venus flytraps seems to be attacking my most unusual toothpick. Goodbye. P.S. Be sure to watch for my new book, Make $4 billion by next Thursday. Milo closed the book. It was hard to tell, but Dr. Silverfish almost seemed to be winking at him from the back cover. Milo went downstairs. His dad was in the living room reading the paper. Milo, he exclaimed. What are you doing down here? I fell asleep, Milo said. I just woke up. You mean to say you won't be perfect after all? Milo grinned. I guess not. Maybe it's just as well, said his father. I don't know if I could stand living with a perfect person. What do you mean? Elisa said, coming down the stairs. I'm perfect. You sure are, Milo replied. Perfectly obnoxious, and we can't stand living with you. Ducking the roller skate Elisa threw at him, Milo laughed and went into the kitchen. He fixed himself a breakfast of pickles and salami. He whistled a stupid tune he'd made up. He made a horrible face at himself in the living room mirror. And he felt human again. Milo found his mom and got her to drive him to the baseball field just in time for the game. Any other day, he would have wished he hadn't. He dropped a fly ball for a triple. He let a grounder skip through his legs for a home run. And he struck out with the bases loaded. His teammates got angry with him, and even the manager looked annoyed. Normally, Milo would have been upset with himself, but today he was calm. "Nobody's perfect," he said with a shrug, and then he went out and made a brilliant catch of a long fly ball. It wasn't enough to save the game for his team, but it felt good. If you never dropped a ball or struck out, baseball would be as boring as sipping weak tea. That afternoon, Milo took Dr. Silverfish's book back to the library. He was through with perfection for good. A few weeks later, one of his classmates came to school with a stalk of broccoli dangling from her neck. A perfect person might have given her a few words of helpful advice. Not Milo. He just took a bite of his garlic and stinky cheese sandwich and wiped up the mustard that dribbled down his chin. He didn't say a word. And that is the end of our story. So, you can take an AR test on this when you are back to school. So if you are at home doing virtual, when you come back maybe later this year, you could take a test. And if not, a good book's a good book no matter what. So I want you to think about, what moral can you learn from this? We've been talking a lot about morals at school. Remember, a moral is something you can learn from a story and apply in your own life. So something I took away from this book, we're all learning about e-learning right now. I'm the virtual teacher. I don't have to be perfect, right? As long as I try my best every day, fix my mistakes, learn from it, I will be better at virtual teaching. So I want all of you to think of something that you might try to do perfectly when really you just need to do your best, okay? Mistakes are always part of life. And when you make a mistake, you learn from it and do better the next time. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the book as much as I did, and we will start a new book tomorrow. Have a great day.